This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Okay, this is the last scheduled video before Christmas. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve, and I have a video going up then, but it's just me playing some music, so there's no talking in that. And then live stream on Christmas Day, 11 AM UK time. Be there if you so wish. I'd love to see you there. We can have a beer and talk about what Santa brought. But today's video is just basically, well, I'm jumping on the bandwagon, I guess, talking about that Beatles documentary that every other music-themed YouTuber seems to be talking about at the moment. I've sort of held me fire a little bit on this one, and I've watched the whole thing twice through now, and formed some opinions on it, and I just thought I'd share them with you today. It's not going to be a long video because there's plenty of long videos out there about this documentary. If you're not familiar with it, it's the Get Back documentary by Peter Jackson. 6 hours or thereabouts worth of footage from the recording of essentially the Let It Be album from 1969, January 1969. And yeah, it's a fantastic documentary, I would say that. You don't have to be a Beatles fan to enjoy watching 6 hours of this stuff, but I've got to tell you, it does help if you're a Beatles fan. If you have no interest in the Beatles, really, then you're going to find this a bit of a slog. But, I am a Beatles fan, and that's why I enjoyed it. For me, the two things spring to mind. First of all, being a Beatles fan, I've watched the Beatles movies, and including the Let It Be movie, which contains footage, or some footage, that is, also in this Get Back documentary. The Let It Be movie really did paint a picture of a band who were daggers drawn and, not getting on, and it was, it was sort of this band are in the process of breaking up. Now, yes, we all know the Beatles did break up, not long after, these scenes were filmed, but you certainly didn't get the impression that that was an inevitability, watching this footage. There is the famous scene that's in the Let It Be movie where the band are at Twickenham Studios, and the plan was that they were going to write, rehearse and record a new album in about 3 weeks, and then do some kind of TV show, TV special, to premiere that album. And, they were all looking a little bit burnt out, and not really firing on all cylinders at the beginning of the process. They didn't have songs written, and understandably so, they were feeling like they were under pressure, which is, I guess, why, some of the more fractious moments that were certainly played up in the Let It Be film from 1970, where they came from. There's that famous scene where there's a little bit of a back and forth between Paul and George, where Paul is very much acting like, the band leader throughout this. And, there's some kind of thing where George is saying, well, tell me what to play and I'll play it. Even if you don't want me to play anything, I'll play that, and Paul is trying to, kind of be diplomatic about what he's wanting. And meanwhile, John is, just basically goofing off a lot of the time. Ringo is just sat behind the kit acting as a spectator a lot of the time. And then there's the scene where, George actually leaves the band, which was like blink and you'll miss it, really, for such a momentous, occurrence in one of probably the most important bands in rock history. After we've had this little, disagreement, shall we say, between Paul and George, things, that they're carrying on and they're trying out ideas and playing and rehearsing bits and pieces of songs. George just goes, well, I'm leaving the band. What? Now? I'm leaving the band now. And apparently you don't see this on screen, but, his parting shot was, I'll see you round the clubs. And it was a bit of a shocker, really, because did that just happen? Anyway, obviously he was persuaded to rejoin. As I say, the whole kind of dynamic was that Paul was very much thinking, yeah, we've got to crank out some product here, and we need to crack on. We need to work. We need to, be professional about this and come up with some ideas. And I think the pressure was probably getting to Paul more than it appeared to be getting to the rest of the guys. But they all sort of kissed and made up, and decamped to not Abbey Road Studios, but they went to basically they created a studio in the basement of their Apple HQ in Savile Row. And then continued there. So that, it was that sort of idea that, the Let It Be film wasn't perhaps an honest recollection of events. Even the Beatles themselves had said in subsequent years that it was that the Twickenham part of the Let It Be process was, a very fractious and kind of not a pleasant affair. But you look at the majority of the footage from that period where they're based in the TV studio, and what the overall impression I got, having as I said watched it twice, is of four blokes who have the utmost respect and regard for each other, and have a love for each other. And there's a lot of smiling, there's a lot of laughter, and there's, Rick Beato mentioned this in his breakdown of the documentary, the way that they can just kind of drop like a stone into some ancient cover version of a song that, that they probably learned when they were doing the clubs back in Hamburg in their early days, and everybody can sing the harmony parts, and everybody knows the chords, and, and it just, they had that. I often talk about this in videos, that sort of telepathy that goes on between musicians, the eye contact and everything, where everybody is just, on the same wavelength. That was very, very definitely in evidence here. And the closer they got to the deadline, obviously the idea of the TV special went out the window. There was all sorts of kind of weird ideas of let's hire a cruise, let's get the QE2, the cruise liner, and go to Tripoli and record a big thing there in the big open air amphitheatre. Of course, as we all know, it ended up being, a foreshortened performance on the rooftop of the Apple building in Savile Row. The interesting thing is that the closer they get to the deadline of the end of the month, the more the ideas start sparking between them, and the more these songs start taking shape. And that's the other thing I wanted to talk about as well. When you're hearing these songs that you are familiar with, they've become part of the background of our culture, the songs like, Get Back, for example, and Don't Let Me Down, and, you even see Ringo at the piano, kind of starting to kind of get to grips with Octopus's Garden and stuff. These songs are all just so familiar now. It really is, it was for me fascinating to hear these songs taking shape and being, kind of tried out. And no, that doesn't quite work there. And what are the lyrics to this going to be? And, and the whole thing just kind of gelling to the point where, at the end of it, you hear the final things as they appeared on, the Let It Be album, and, there's Maxwell Silverhammer is features quite a bit in the Twickenham shots, which obviously that was on Abbey Road, wasn't it? So it's really is, if you like fly on the wall kind of documentaries about bands, then you're probably going to like this. And if you're a Beatles fan, then obviously this is, a must watch for you. And as I say, this whole kind of dynamic that has become, even as I said, accepted by the Beatles, that this wasn't a very pleasant period in their lives as a band. You don't get that impression from the footage. I think maybe the Let It Be film from 1970 was, has become the accepted narrative. Maybe that's reinforced what the individual Beatles remembered about that period. But as I say, a lot of laughter, a lot of fun being had by four guys who, were very, very close to each other and were, very musically in tune. Fascinating watch. It's well worth checking out. If you're not a Beatles fan, you're not going to enjoy it, so don't bother. But if you are at least, kind of neutral about their music, or, even just partially, just ever so slightly a fan, then it is really fascinating, as I say, to hear these songs that you are so familiar with, just, kind of gelling and taking shape. And, it's on a personal note for me. It's reassuring to see that even the most famous band in the world have had rehearsal sessions like many of the bands that I've been in, where just nothing's coming together, nothing's happening, and you're just not feeling like you're getting anywhere, and you're grinding your gears and wading through treacle. We've all been in bands like that, and it's nice to know that even the great and the good had those experiences. So those are my thoughts on the wonderful Peter Jackson Get Back Beatles documentary. Make of it what you will. If you're a Beatles fan, go and check it out. And that is pretty much the video for today, folks. Hope you've found these musings and these ramblings and this blethering reasonably entertaining. And if you have, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. Why not give me a like while you're at it? I guess the next time I'll see you all will be in person, will be on Christmas Day. So I'll just take this opportunity to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Stay safe, stay well, and above all, stay sane. I'll see you then. Bye for now.